Hey everyone, for TRICHOMES.com, I'm Ashley Manning, and this is Careers in Cannabis. On this show, we sit down with staffing agencies, cannabis companies, and other industry professionals to discuss employment opportunities in the burgeoning cannabis industry. According to Chuck Schumer, a cannabis legalization bill is coming soon, but we have yet to see any action. Regardless of what's coming soon, one thing is clear, that with or without federal legalization, the cannabis industry is going to continue to grow at unprecedented numbers. And with that growth comes plenty of career opportunities. Today's guest is a mission-driven entrepreneur and takes pride in his leadership skills and ability to connect people. On this episode, we talk with the founding partner of Meta Talent Group, Derrick Knudsen. Meta Talent Group was inspired by a desire to transform the world socially and environmentally, and they are seeking to transform your passion into your employment. Hey, Derrick, welcome to the show.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Ashley. Appreciate it.
It's good to have you here. I know we've been chit-chatting back and forth now for the past couple of months, so I'm excited to get to the interview now today. Finally, we've been waiting for it.
Definitely. Yeah, a little bit nervous, but feeling good, so I'm excited to be here today.
It's okay. Nerves are good.
Yeah,
they're an important part to our human body. So
they certainly are. They certainly are.
But let's just get right to it. I'd love to hear from you. Tell me a little bit about your firm, Meta Talent Group.
Yeah, so Meta Talent Group, we're a boutique recruitment firm, primarily servicing the cannabis, hemp, psychedelic, and bioscience industries. So we have a small team of experienced executive recruiters that came from Fortune 100 recruitment backgrounds, but had a passion and a motivation for helping these industries grow with the right people in place, as well as plant-based and fungi-based industries as a whole. And so, for me, I came to Denver, Colorado about 6 years ago. I'm originally from New York and wanted to break into this space and just didn't know quite how. And, it's researching through 2017, realized that there was a need for recruitment services. And so, started my first venture at the start of 2018. And then broke off on my own this past year to start Meta Talent Group. So, and I feel like for us, we approach talent acquisition with a culture first mentality, which I think, helps us curate a network of talented folks that are specifically interested in these alternative industries that we're going to talk about today. And, at the same time, it also allows us to be, vertically agnostic, right? Because we are looking for more of that personality and that culture fit. And then on the back end, of course, there has to be the technical fit as well.
Absolutely. Culture, every single episode we cover culture. And I think that's really, really important that aligns in the cannabis industry specifically. Being that you're also in staffing for the psychedelics, you have a background in biology. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Okay.
So graduated at Syracuse as a small environmental science school. So I graduated with an environmental biology degree from SUNY ESF.
So that would make sense as to, you're kind of parlaying those skills. I think, I'm not a biology person, but I think there's some biology to fungi and biology to cannabis. So,
Definitely.
It sounds like you're applying that skill to knowing the needs of the cannabis industry, which is something we do cover on this show. Also, think about what you're passionate about. It can apply to cannabis. You really just have to think outside the box.
Most definitely. I mean, there's not too many people who have taken a mycology course, right, through college. And so being able to take that course with a world-renowned mycology professor in Dr. Weir from Ireland, I mean, certainly the roots were there. And like most folks in recruiting, I think you kind of fall into it, right? So I started out in outdoor education as a summer camp director and doing outdoor ecological, education with youth, and kind of through that, through that journey, have ended up here in recruiting. But like you said, the plant-based, fungi-based industries are ones that I've always been passionate about and excited to learn more about. So certainly does fit well, kind of through the career, although very different from being a summer camp director, that's for sure.
Although immediately where my head went was it'd be pretty cool to take, teens or young adults on tours of hemp farms or cannabis farms and educating them about, what it is. Cause I think that generation is going to be the generation who doesn't have, who didn't grow up with the stigma. And so I don't know, there's something in my head that sees you doing that as well for fun.
Most definitely. Hemp, right? I mean, just so many uses there, right? It's so versatile. So certainly not going anywhere. And similarly, this year piloting an internship program, right? Where we're working with accredited universities and connecting them with growing hemp companies, who need some extra help, throughout the season. So certainly always top of mind, always thinking about, career progression for professionals, but also what that looks like in terms of setting up a career path for a student, right? And for a youth who's 14 or 15 and still kind of figuring out what they want to do in life. So something that I'll never lose in my work. Yeah.
Well, don't. A question I haven't asked anybody yet is, why should a candidate seek out a recruiting or staffing firm to look for a career in cannabis?
Definitely. I think with cannabis, it's such a nascent industry with so many moving parts. And so you want to find a trustworthy and a knowledgeable recruiter that follows industry trends, knows what's happening in each market, but also has the experience and the connections in the space. I think for anyone that's been in this industry long enough to know, you've learned by now that referrals and warm introductions go a very, very long way. And so certainly working with someone who's been in this space for a few years, with it being such an immature industry, it can help a lot, right? Additionally, just talking about the time right now and the current job market, it's hard to stand out in an application process. HR teams are overwhelmed with applicants coming in, and a lot of them unqualified because you've got folks staying on unemployment who are just filling a quota. And so, kind of through that, you've got a lot of applications coming through, and it's really hard to decipher and differentiate yourself kind of through that process. And, that's where a recruiter can really come in and, help along the way. I would say in addition to that, not every job gets posted, right? So we're working on a number of openings right now, but, in addition to our pool of talent, we use mostly a direct targeted search. And so not always putting up a job post, because again, like I said, you're flooded with unqualified applicants, but also just to be, a true complementary partner, we like the companies for them to post a job and we go at it a different route. So we're not looking at the same pool of talent. So a couple of things there that certainly can be beneficial to a candidate, working with a recruiter in this space.
Awesome. Good advice there. What do you think the number one reason that a resume might get looked over? Because they're getting so many, you probably have to filter through them very quickly in order to actually fulfill the role. So why might you skip over a resume?
Yeah, well, I think the first one is, what I just mentioned, the inundation of unqualified applicants. I mean, just very hard to get through every resume, to read through it. Right now, you're doing a screen call with each candidate. So certainly, in terms of resumes being looked over, there's a lot of applications coming in. I think in addition, for the resume itself, it can get looked over when it doesn't effectively communicate the value of the individual that's represented on that piece of paper. Or in that file. And so, you really want to address the specific position that you're applying for and that you're going after. And, a lot of times we'll encourage our candidates to create a career highlights section at the top of their resume to communicate first and foremost the most value and the best things that they've done in their career, right? You think about money saved, revenue generated, awards, certifications, management experience. To have to pick out all of that, very valuable information throughout a 2 or 3 page resume, much easier when you condense it to a quick highlights section. So right off the bat, they know some great work that you've done, and now they're interested and excited to learn more about that individual. So a couple of things that can be done there to help with that process.
Fantastic answer. That makes total sense. And, a lot of people, I don't think, were taught. I was never taught how to build a resume. So I'm assuming that lots of others have not as well. So that little bit of advice could make someone go, that makes sense why my application is not being seen by anyone. And it's
Right.
just a little bit of work. Just think about the skill sets you have. And like you said, put
It's
them at the
really
top.
just a reorganization, right? So very simple, but effective. So
Yes.
Yeah.
One more question before we get into some of the open positions that Meta Talent Group has. What do you think the biggest obstacles are to obtaining a career in cannabis?
Well, I think first, I mean, it's still federally illegal, right? So that's always going to make it difficult. And like we talked about in prior conversations, I mean, that stigma and the public perception, I think we're still kind of working through that. And so deciding that it's okay to have a career in cannabis, like not everyone, thinks that way right now. And so, I think that's certainly a hurdle. Lack of experience in the field, again, a new nascent growing industry, not a lot of industry experience, right? Which is a lot of times what you'll hear in an interview. So, that comes into play. Compensation, certainly, when I started in the space in 18 and 19, it was more difficult. It's gotten easier. And for us, in addition to recruitment services, we put out an annual, cannabis salary guide to help, normalize salaries. But when you're looking at talent or individuals from pharma and from CPG who are trying to make this move over and who are interested, but now they've got to take a 25-50% haircut on salary, I mean, it's just not attainable, right? And so we're getting closer to a place where we can make that happen. But certainly, pay cuts coming from more traditional corporate industries into the space can be a barrier as well. Just like any job, finding the right fit, right? There's so many factors that go into it. We talked about culture, the job responsibilities, the location, the team size. I mean, everything that's happened this past year. Is it in office? Is it remote? Is it a hybrid role? So those things have become very important questions to ask candidates and what they're looking for. And then I think once you have a position in the space, even at that point, to show tenure and longevity with, mergers and acquisitions and how many moving pieces you have in the space, it's difficult, right? So you get that first job, but now you only had 10 or 12 months, right? And I mean, that's one of the biggest detractors from a candidate. It's like, well, you're job hoppy, right? You've been moving jobs every once in a while, but with the space moving so quickly and it being so immature, like I said, you really want to try to find a place that you can call home, and really build out that tenure and that longevity that we talked about. It also aids to the success of that company and that brand. So,
makes perfect sense. And that salary guide you mentioned, you have that on your website, right?
We do, yes.
Awesome,
available to download on the website. Over 100 positions, in the space. So great resource for anyone who's searching for a position and wants to better understand, salaries and comp packages, but also, of course, hiring companies, right, who are looking at their org structure, hires that they need to make later this year, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, perfect for whether it's the applicant or the employer looking, it's a good place to start. So
correct.
Awesome. Thanks for putting that together yearly for everyone.
Sure.
So let's get into some of the current open positions that Meta Talent Group has available now.
Yeah, so working on a couple of exciting positions. Anybody who's in the recruitment space or anybody who's been looking for a job knows the last month or two has somewhat exploded in a great way. Seems like the slingshot effect, increased vaccinations, folks more comfortable, but jobs have opened up fairly quickly. And so we've got a great group in the Bay Area that we're doing a field sales manager position with. They're in a startup women-led infused beverage company. So just looking for someone who either has infused product sales background, or just, industry sales, right? And this, again, goes back to what we said earlier, right? Barriers for a position like this. I mean, you need to know these products, right? And so for this one, it would be hard to go to, a SOB or another CPG beverage group and bring them into the space, unless they are a consumer who knows well about, infused beverage products. So we've got a hemp extracts group here in Colorado that we're working a director of sales position for, someone just with a strong hemp CBD extracts background, who can be an individual contributor, but also, interested in building out a team eventually. Another group in California looking for more of a hybrid hire. This one's interesting. It's actually exciting and fun for me to work on. It's like an HR, executive assistant, project manager, all kind of built into one, supporting the C-suite team. And, I think in this space, you talk about adaptability so often. And this is a great example of, what you might have heard of as like a Swiss Army knife, right? Just being able to wear many hats, pick up different roles. Manage the projects throughout the department, but then also sit in, on a C-suite, meeting and be able to hold your own there. So exciting there. Working on a project management position with a company here in Colorado again. That's been growing quickly, both organically and through some acquisitions. So just helping with overall change management, getting people, processes, and systems aligned kind of through those retail acquisitions that they've made, the past 6 months. Really exciting. I talked about biosciences. We've got a biotech company in New York that grows and harvests mycelium, the growth network of mushrooms, and is manufacturing it into biodegradable packaging, as well as a food line, a bacon line as well. So really cool, innovative work there. And so, for us, again, we're boutique. So we look for, these groups that want to build a relationship with a recruitment firm and not just do a one-off. We're not here to fill every position, but we certainly are here to help when you need it, whether it's a niche or a key hire, like some of the roles that I just mentioned. So, but certainly exciting things. And, like I said, across verticals. So, exciting positions we're working on right now.
Great. Those are all good positions. Always seeing the sales positions, but that's because this industry is growing, and that's how we keep it growing is by selling products and moving them along the supply chain. Let's touch on the two project manager positions, because those essentially could be someone could parlay their current skills. They don't have to have industry experience for, correct?
Definitely. So with our company here in Colorado, anyone that's in project management, software integrations in retail or manufacturing could certainly be a fit for this role. This is one of those roles where you don't need industry experience and you can be a great fit for this position. Just having some of those, just having that project management background and understanding, what it means to work cross-functionally, with every department in the company, and working on anywhere from 15 to 20 projects at a time. But so certainly that's one. With the one in California, because of the HR and the HR component, it would help to have, a little bit of the industry background. But again, someone who's done a year and, we've been talking candidates that have been pursuing law degrees where they can help out on the compliance side. We've talked to office managers who have ascended into higher roles, but, have, understand all the components, of this hybrid role, right? Again, executive assistant supporting the C-suite team, HR and compliance, and really kind of helping out in that area. And then just overall project management for the company. So, certainly an opportunity on both of those for folks without industry experience to have a shot at getting their feet wet in the space.
That would be a great way to get your feet wet, because you're going to learn wearing more hats, the better when you're first getting into the industry. In my opinion, you can really learn all the different parts of the supply chain and understand all the hurdles, everything that it takes to be in the industry with that one position, and then decide where you want to go. Maybe you enjoy where you're at, but you can kind of analyze where you'd want to go moving forward. But if you're not interested in becoming a bud tender, these are other options to getting into the industry without any kind of experience. So thank you for sharing all those positions. I anticipate them filling up quickly, and there being, if not triple, quadruple the amount within the next couple months here, because things are really, really starting to ramp up. And then, we're going to have October coming up. So there's always harvest workers then as well, which are temp workers. That's another great way to get into the industry too, because you're able to connect with others in the industry already and they can help connect you. So
definitely. And a great opportunity, for some of those student interns as well, right? A fall internship, 10 hours a week, right? So, like I said, in addition to our recruitment services, that is something that we feel, passionately about and think that there's a need in the industry just for some help at that entry level and associate level employment, right? Just get them a little bit of industry applicable experience before, jumping in head first. But like you said, jumping in head first and just kind of learning and drinking from a fire hose. I mean, that is the way to learn about this industry because it's so new and there's so many moving pieces.
Yeah, there's not too many internships out there. I think it's rare find. That's how I started my career in cannabis, was as a cultivation intern. And
oh, wow.
I think I got the luck of the draw, and I'm very blessed to have had that opportunity. And I hope to see more internship programs coming out and seeing that, because I think a lot of people would, hey, it's one way to get free help, first of all, but also,
cheap help. Cheap help.
Yeah, cheap, inexpensive help, or free,
there
whichever. And so, it helps the company, but then it also, helps the industry overall, because you're educating someone who was really excited about being a part of the industry, even if they weren't getting paid or getting paid a little bit. So I encourage internships. I don't know how we can make that happen. I don't know if it's something you can make happen, but I look forward to it.
It's in the works. Meta Talent internship program, piloting it this summer, rolling out full next year. Talking with universities, UConn, Syracuse, Cornell, Colorado State.
Beautiful.
And going to make a couple things happen. And it's one of those rare scenarios where, like you said, it's actually a win-win-win, right? The growing company gets some additional help. The student or the, aspiring professional gets that applicable industry experience. And for us, well, now we have a pool of entry-level candidates, talented, experienced candidates. So, all three entities win in that scenario. So we're excited about it.
And you get to combine your passions as well together, helping younger people, in biology, and combining them together into an internship. Sounds like you're combining all of them.
You hit the nail on the head there, for sure.
So take off your recruiting hat for a moment. This is a question that I ask everyone on my show, because I think it's important that, we're a relationship building industry, like you said earlier. And I think part of that is feeling like the people you're talking to about the industry or getting advice need to really come at it from a big brother or big sister. And so I'm going to ask you, what would be some of your big brother advice to someone who's maybe on the fence about having a career in cannabis?
Yeah, no, definitely. Great question. I'm going to take one out of Simon Sinek's book here, but where it really starts with the why. Why do you want to be in this space? I think that is the number one question that you have to ask someone who's on the fence about it. It's a complex industry, right? Prohibition, the war on drugs, mass incarceration, racism over the years that has played such a major role in the development or non-development, of this space, however, you want to look at it. For me, it came from New York. Came out to Colorado 6 years ago, saw the opioid crisis in the Northeast, and it was exploding. And I wanted to find out, what are alternative health options so people aren't addicted on pills, right? And so that's kind of where my journey started. That brought me out to Colorado, and that's taken me along this path, even into psychedelics right now, right? We talked about it earlier. PTSD, addiction, depression, anxiety, some of the things that we could, potentially work on kind of through the research and development of some of those psychedelics. So, but overall, if you are getting into it for the right reasons, do it, right? Jump in head first, do what you can, learn as much as you can, get on webinars, ArcView, listen to interviews, through Ashley, and just really be a sponge. New Cannabis Ventures, great app, right? Just to stay in line with the industry trends. But if you're in it for the right reasons, right, which for me, alternative health options, alternative recreational options, right, for folks who don't care for alcohol, and then, really, getting the plan to the hands of the people that need it. So if those are the things you care about, then get in the space and talk to me, and we'll find, a way to get you in. If you can't answer that question, maybe it's not for you. Maybe it's not the right industry for you, because like you said, it's different. I was in corporate executive recruiting, and it's just a different industry. Much more altruistic and when you get the right people and the right team together, all working towards that one common goal and mission, some amazing things happen. So, I would say overall, the cannabis industry, it could be looked at as like a symbol of our country right now, right? Like, I think as it grows, it can become a symbol of unity and diversity and equality. But we need the right people in place to make that happen. And, that's where we'd like to step in as Meta Talent Group, is really provide those services and help make those connections between these aspiring professionals and individuals and, these growing companies, right? Even for us, we focus on triple bottom line and ESG, and our tagline is really people, planet, and profitability, because we want to work with sustainably growing companies that are looking at profitability, of course, increasing employment, job availability for folks here in the U.S. and otherwise. But there's a lot that goes into it, I think, overall, and we're just excited to be a part of it and blessed to be a part of it as well.
Good big brother advice for sure. So
the youngest of 6 giving big brother advice. I've never done that before. So
make sure you give this interview to your brothers then.
Right.
My oldest brother. Brothers.
Yeah. Well, my oldest brother is, he's a founding partner with me with Meta Talent Group. So there's some strong family ties there as well.
Oh, awesome. Well, I'm glad the little brother gets to give the big brother advice today. Nothing wrong
Hopefully
with that.
I'll make them proud.
You've given some really great advice and insights and, regarding having a career in cannabis, some great opportunities, and would love for you to share. I know you're involved in a couple other things outside of cannabis. It's not always just cannabis, even though every day we are talking about it. So what is something that you do outside of the cannabis industry?
Yeah, so I was just showing my shirt, The Underdog Family. It's a nonprofit that we started just about a year ago here in Denver. My friend is the founder and brought me on as his first hire. So acting VP, and our team is over 20 folks now. And we support women-owned and minority-owned small business owners here in Denver, specifically in food and beverage and hospitality, because those industries were hit so hard through the pandemic. And so just making sure, building websites for free, making sure they could get deliveries out the door when patrons couldn't come in the door, free photos. Everything we do is actually free to our partners. And we're able to do that because none of us are compensated. So every dollar that comes in through donations and through fundraising goes right back into the community. We've even set it up where certain donors have put forth money and said, I want to support this local food and beverage spot. Can you help build them a website? And so it's been amazing work, to be honest. We just, we're coming up on our 1 year mark, and, just the ability to support the local community, integrate folks who maybe need a little bit of support, but then also we have, more traditional family members who don't need a website, but can support other business owners in the community. So it's really just become a web of support throughout Denver, and it's been amazing. It honestly has. So building Meta Talent and, the Underdog over the last 12 months, has been my everyday, and I couldn't be happier about it.
Hey, thanks for watching our channel. Click here to watch another episode of Careers in Cannabis and more great shows and interviews. To find more cannabis industry reporting, insider stories, and to stay up to date on the latest trends, make sure you subscribe and keep up to date with the TRICHOMES community app. Download it now and we'll see you there.